shall we say, an agent, okay, or a criterion. I'm just going to label this here. So here, factor is criterion. By the way, the plural of criterion is criteria. Criteria. All right? So, again, what two factors of determine the shape of a piece of sand? Right? How was the beach on Kamoma Island? So, if you take a look here, Kamoma is capitalized and island, we have two capitalized letters. Sorry. Here. We have Kamoma and island, they are capitalized. So we're looking for a capital K in the text. Where, according to the text, can fine sandy beaches be found? Just going to go with this. Fine sandy beaches be found. We're looking for sandy beaches. All right. Who argues that sand is more efficient than coastal technology? Who argues that sand is more efficient than coastal technology? That's strange. And then we will take a look at the discussions here a bit later. So first, we're looking for two substances made by humans or two artificial substances. By the way, if we find the answers to other questions while we're searching, all right, we will answer them. And there is another strategy here I want to take care of now. I'm not going to say this 100%, that I'm 100% sure of this, all right? But let's say that in 90% of the cases, okay, the questions are in order. They are in order, which means that this question will have somewhere at the top of the text, maybe, and then we will go lower and lower. So, of course, an exception for that would be something like the labeling, like this here. All right? As you can see here, the labeling is different. And in another part, just a moment, here, and later on, we will need to find some labels or some headings for paragraphs. So we'll need to find, shall we say, topic sentences, not exactly, but labels, okay, headlines for paragraphs. These questions are also not in order. Otherwise, some of these questions can be 90% of the time, but often. So, the first one, we're looking for artificial substances. Sand, as children play and adults play, is something to complain about when feet get or when it gets in our food, and praise when it's molded into castles. But we don't often look at it. If we did, we would discover an account of a geological past. Again, but we don't often look at it. If we did, we would discover an account of a geological past and a history of marine life that goes back to thousands, and in some cases millions of years. Sand covers not just sea stores or seashores, but also ocean beds, deserts, and mountains. It's one of the most common substances in Earth, and it's a major element in man-made materials too. Okay, so here we have the answer is, in man-made materials, we will begin now reading something about man-made materials. Concrete is largely sand, so that's the first one, concrete, while glass is made of little else. Okay? So the substances here are concrete and glass. Alright? So concrete, glass. Alright? So by the way, this is how you should write the answer. Concrete, comma, glass. Alright? Perhaps and, alright? Not a problem really. So just say concrete and glass, or concrete, comma, glass. Both are correct. Which part of a grain of sand have scientists measured? Now we're talking about research and development and all that. So what exactly is sand? Lighter than fine dust and shingle. In fact, according to most generally accepted schemes of measurement devised by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, for your own information, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or in other words, MIT. All right. I really hope you can pronounce this word well. Massachusetts. All right. M-A-S-S-A-C-H-U. One S, then two T's. Massachusetts. I know the United States have really strange names for states, but otherwise, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, grains qualify if their diameter is greater than 0.06 of a millimeter and less than 0.6 of a millimeter. So they're measuring what of the grain? The diameter. Here, diameter. By the way, I'm really sorry for the lines here and there. Okay, I've been working on this book for some time, so I always leave lots of scribble here and there. I think you can see here yourselves, lots of scribbling. Anyway, so let's get back here to the next one. Oh, this is the answer for the second question, not the third one. What two factors determine the shape of a piece of sand? We'll find it later. So, depending on its age and origin, a particular sand can consist of tiny pebbles or porous granules. Its grains may have the shape of stars or spirals. So, we're talking about depending on its age and origin. So, the two factors depending, or that the shape depends on, are age and or comma origin. That's it. What about the next one? How was the beach on Kamoma Island created? Let's take a look here. Kamoma Island. Here we are looking for a K. If it's dazzling, grains may be derived from Mexico. No. Pacific Islands, jet black sandstone volcano are magnetic. Some sands is very recent indeed. There's a case in the island of Kamoma in Hawaii, where a beach was created after a volcanic eruption. So what was the question? How was the beach in Kamoma or on Kamoma Island created? We're looking for a method. Don't use more than 2-3 words. So again, Kamoma Island in Hawaii, not Hawaii, where a beach was created after a volcanic eruption in the 1990. Molten lava spilled into the sea and exploded in glacier droplets. So just write volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruption. Okay, so here we are. Let's just take a quick look here. So, volcanic eruption caused the beach on Kamoma Island. Where, according to the text, can sandy beaches be found? Just a moment. I believe we have read... here we are. So, usually, the older the granules, the finer they are, and the smoother at their edges. The fine white beaches of northern Scotland, for instance, are recycled from sandstone several 100 million years old. Perhaps they will be stone once more in another few 100 million. We don't have to worry about that. So we're looking for fine sandy beaches. What about the next? What about up here? Gypsum, Pacific Island, jet black sand. We're talking about fine sandy beaches here. So I would say northern Scotland. It's northern Scotland. Alright, it's northern Scotland. Please don't mind the O here. Alright. Who argues that sand is more efficient than coastal technology? We're looking for who. That's a name. Alright, that's a name. So we're looking for a name here. Scientific geologists say, or maybe an occupation. Sand is an irreplaceable industrial area whose uses are legion. Okay, are legion, many. They come from many. But it has one vital function. So legion here means many. Of course, it's also referring to a group of soldiers in the Roman Empire, a legion. But it has one vital function you might never even notice. sand, cushions our land from the seas impact, and geologists say it often does a better job of protecting our shores than most advanced coastal technology. So the answer would be geologists. Geologists. Good. Let's move on. And which answer do you think? So let's take a look here again at the text. Which answer do you think will be the quickest to find in the text? Maybe things like, I would say that geologists was easy to find because it was at the end of the text, so you had to look in a small place, maybe. And the hardest one was concrete glass, because there was a difference between substances made and here man-made materials. So they used materials instead of substances. Perhaps age and origin, because two factors have to be translated into depending on, maybe. But it's clear that nothing is easy, nothing is difficult. Most of them are of about the same difficulty, but as you practice more and more, you will see that it's becoming easier and easier. Okay, so we had to do this in 10 minutes, and the time was more or less 10 minutes. Let's take a look at the tip here. In a block of short answer questions, you will find that the answers occur in the text in the same order as the questions. So you will come across the answer in the questions one first and so on. Remember that when you move on to another block of questions, you may have to start reading from the beginning of the text again. So maybe one of the questions, another block of the questions. So if we are taking a look, these are some of the questions. Sometimes another group of questions might come, and in that group of questions you will read the text one more time from top to bottom. All right? So again, these block of questions have their answers in the text in the same order. When another group of questions, so maybe these questions are up there, and another group separated with a space, okay, comes in the bottom, at the bottom, you will find that you will have to read from the text from top to bottom again. Of course, it will be easier because you have already read it, but nevertheless, just pay attention to that in mind, or put that in mind. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look. Okay, so I was just checking my microphone. I panicked a bit. Let's take a look at the next one here. This is a question that is concerned with labeling. Let's take a look here. Here we are. If you are talking about the lighthouse of Alexandria, or more known as the Pharos lighthouse, you are talking about maybe how it went undersea or how it was destroyed. Then you talk about maybe its history. Maybe you're talking about efforts, and finally you'll be talking about its construction or its labeling. All right, which means that you are looking for the answers for all of this in just one paragraph. You have to notice this. You have to notice that one paragraph provides the answers for all of this. And once you find the paragraph, solving this will be a piece of cake. So we're looking for labeling. So let's look. A team of 30 divers is hurriedly searching the Mediterranean for the remains of the mighty lighthouse. So this is an introduction. Here's another paragraph. In addition to the Pharos, they joined French and Egyptian expeditions searching for the remnants of Greek temples and statues, blah, blah, blah. That is not necessary. What about the Egyptian divers hoped to excavate? The huge white marble building was the marvel of its day. It was now they're describing the building now, more than 400 feet high in a colonnaded court, and it was equipped with a hydraulic lift to raise fuel to the roof. So let's take a look at some of the components they were talking about. All right. So 40 feet is an important thing to mark here. I'm just sorry here. The text is very small, so labeling will be a bit difficult. Here. So 400 feet. It's a colonnaded, maybe a colonnaded court, and equipped with a hydraulic lift to raise fuel to the roof. Its lantern, probably magnified. Its lantern, probably magnified by a reflecting device, so maybe a reflecting device as well, could be seen over a radius of 34 miles. Within its square base were up to 300 rooms designed to house mechanics and operators. Mechanics and operators. Above where an octagonal story and a circular story, let's move this line, and a circular story topped by a lantern, I think, with a beacon. A beacon is a certain light. If you land at an airport at night, you will see that the runway is marked by beacons, okay, to mark the place where the aircraft has to land, okay, beacons. Beacons, oh, just a moment, geologists, here. All right, beacons, where were we? Beacons. The exact working of which are still a mystery. So we're talking about lantern with a beacon above a circular story. All right, let's get back here to the text and see if we can label them all. This light can be seen for something. So if you take a look, it can be seen for 34 miles. And maybe its lantern, probably magnified by a reflecting device. Lantern, reflecting device. So the lantern, by the way, there is a comma here, and there's a comma there. So this is how it should be read. Its lantern, probably reflected by a magnifying glass, or probably magnified by a reflecting device, could be seen over a radius of 34 miles. You can remove the clause in between the commas. So you can say its lantern could be seen over a radius of 34 miles. So the lantern, okay, that can be seen for 34 miles. And by the way, also pay attention to the labeling here, a lantern. So don't say a lantern magnified by a reflecting device. This is not good. Okay? What about this one? To raise fuel to the roof. So maybe here we are saying fuel to the roof. Hydraulic lift is the answer. Hydraulic lift. Good enough. What about this octagonal story? And on its top, yeah, that's octagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And its top, there is something in a different, there's something else. So, above where an octagonal story and a circular story topped with the lantern. So, this circular story is topped with the lantern. So, maybe circular story. Story. Okay? Story here is a storage place. Okay? Or a floor that's used to store certain products. Or just for storage. Okay? It's different from story. Pay attention. Alright? There's a difference between story, and it comes from store actually. Store, and from it comes story, and this is different from the other story here. Okay? What about the octagonal story here? I think we have square base with something to house mechanics. Mechanics. I think we've seen mechanics here. Within its square base were up to 300 rooms designed to house mechanics. Square base with something to house mechanics. So I'd say 300 rooms. By the way, you will notice that, I forgot, you will notice that I am copying and pasting these titles or these labels directly from the text. The exam might paraphrase the questions, but you should not. You should not paraphrase. Just copy and paste, literally. All right? Let's take a look at the test tip, which is not here, up there. In IELTS, you will always be instructed to answer questions using no more than 3 words. This is important as you cannot fit many words onto the answer sheet. However, there may be some redundant words. Redundant words are words that are extra. You know, extra and useless. Extra and useless is redundant. Not useless, but extra and shall we say just to be safe or just to make things good, and can be removed without a problem. All right. Of course. So let's say if you are an engineer, you will find that in many power stations, many systems are redundant. So that if a system breaks down, okay, you have an alternative, a spare, an emergency system. So maybe you would have your own mobile phone here, all right, and a redundant one like this, just in case the original one breaks down, okay? Such as the or a, which you can include in your answer to make 4 words. You will not be penalized for adding these. But in my opinion, I have never met an exam in which the or a is used to exceed 4 words. All right? So things like maybe a hydraulic lift here. Yes, you can use the and a, these articles, to increase the words to 3, but it won't be a problem in the test. Okay, lantern, hydraulic lift. I'm just going to lift this a bit. 34 miles, a circular story, and 300 rooms. How easy did you find this task? It's very easy. Why? Because all of the labels here are present in just one paragraph. So it's very easy to read this paragraph only and then find the answers in the paragraph in details. Which labels were harder to complete and why? I'm just not going to answer this question. It's just a waste of time. Okay, let's take another look here and then get back to this one. Since I'm Egyptian, I really like watching the entire Pharaoh's Lighthouse. It's really nice. Hopefully, we will find those remains or so on and so forth. And maybe you have already found them, but they remain a mystery. Maybe. Nice statues, by the way. Okay, so again, we have an octagonal story and a circular story, and these are the 300 rooms used to house the mechanics and the beacon and the reflector, right? Reflector device. There is also a lift that lifts or that raises the fuel from the bottom to the top using hydraulics. Baby love. Baby love. How about we take a look here at this nice pictures, and let's take a look first at the questions. This is a small one. This is a small question. Okay, complete the table below which shows the final results of the scientist's research for questions 14 to 17. Use a tick for preference or cross for non-preference. So if the people like something, we use a tick and just going to write a V, or cross X for non-preference. Okay, let's take a look at the questions. Age of children, 4 years, 8 years, baby-faced bears, adult featured bears, and what they wanted to do with bears. And here for questions 18 and 19, just use no more than 3 words. So let's take a look. At the turn of the century, the first teddy bears had low foreheads. Long snouts, that's a nose. Okay, so low forehead is this part here. Long snouts, it's like this black nose. Okay, like the nose of a, shall we say, a cow or so. Pig. And long limbs. A limb is what extends from the body like your hand and legs. And long limbs like real birds. But over time, they have developed more baby-like features. So in the beginning, teddy bears were like bears. But now they are, or maybe that was the beginning and then they became like this. Perhaps. A group of scientists was curious to know whether teddies evolved this way because children demand baby-faced bears, or because adults did. So who affected this development? The babies or the adults? They gathered together 8 pairs of teddies, each comprising a baby-faced bear and an adult-featured one. 8 pairs of teddies. These teddies were shown to children aged 4, 6, and 8 years old. By the way, we're just talking about 4 and 8 now. Okay? When asked to choose their favorite bear from each pair, what a mouthful, bear from each pair, the older children, 43 out of 54, okay, so we had 54, the older children preferred baby-faced teddies, the older children. But the 4-year-olds, the younger ones, chose the baby-faced and adult-featured bears of each pair equally. Okay? So here, let me just take a look here at the question on preference. Alright, so let's take a look again. So the older children preferred the baby-faced teddies, but the 4-year-olds chose the baby-faced and adult-featured bears of each pair equally. When asked which one of all the bears they like best, the older children chose more baby-faced bears, but the 4-year-olds preferred the ones with adult features. The scientists also asked the children what they would like to do with their favorite bear. The 4-year-olds wanted to play with it, but the older children said they would like to sleep with the bear. The scientists suggested that young children do not develop a specific desire to look after the young and helpless until they're older. So maybe the adults are the ones who affected the bears. Okay, so let's get back to the questions here. When we're talking about 4 years, do they prefer the baby-faced bears or the adult-featured bears? Here, when asked with which one of all the bears they like the best, the older children chose more baby-faced bears. More baby-faced bears. So I would say this one. Okay, so let me just write preference here. Older, baby-faced bears. Alright, what about the next one? Baby-faced bears, but the 4-year-olds preferred ones with adult features. So the 4-year-olds, adult features here. Okay? Then, of course, the other ones are not, or shall we say, the baby-faced bears were also preferred by the children. Okay? Here, but the 4-year-olds chose baby-faced and adult-featured pairs of each. When asked with which ones they liked best, the older chairs preferred. So let's just follow this part here, preferred. Okay? So I'm just going to delete this one and write a cross or an X here and X there. Alright? So the adults preferred the younger ones, the baby-faced, and the babies or the younger ones preferred the adult features. what they wanted to do with the bears, the 4-year-olds wanted to play with it. But the older children said they would like to sleep with the bear. So the older ones play with it. Okay, play with them. Okay, by the way, what they wanted to do with the bears. Pay very close attention to the grammar, which is why I used them instead of it. And the older ones, they wanted to sleep with them. Very easy, very easy. Okay? Let's take a look here at this part. Let's just remove the hydraulic lift here. And get back to go to the questions first. All right?